Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 134. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Sheri Fitts, a well-known in the financial services industry as a true creative force who would imagine it or started at the tender age of 5 selling her own homemade rose petrol perfume in a baby food jars and door to door. She's debuted in the financial services industry as an award-winning graphic designer, progressed to a participant curriculum design, and advanced to sales and marketing before stepping out on her own as a consultant and a speaker. Hello, Sheri.
Hey, how are you, Patience? It's nice to talk to you.
Thank you for coming here. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Sure. So I have been in the financial services industry for a really long time. I started, though, I think what's interesting is I started as a graphic designer. And so that meant that what I was doing is I was creating like newsletters and booklets and stuff to help people understand how to invest their money. And then what happened was in the late 90s, we sold those materials. And I was sitting there as this kind of de facto head of this department, and our last salesperson left. So I was very concerned about being able to have a thriving, surviving business. So I ended up stepping into sales and marketing. And that's how I ended up creating my background in email marketing and websites and whatnot. So I kind of ended up in this marketing space because I was a salesperson that had a sales goal. I was a salesperson that had a sales goal, no marketing budget, right? So that's why I looked for digital ways to execute things. So I, fast forward, I've been in leadership roles from a marketing perspective for a variety of different financial services firms in the United States. And then I had been saying for a really long time to friends and people that would listen to me that I wanted to, when I grew up, I wanted to be a speaker and do my own thing. And I hadn't done it yet. And I hit a very big birthday with a very big 0 at the end. And I went, I'm grown up now. And, I'm grown up now, best do it. So I left corporate America and started my own firm in 2012.
Oof. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, dear me, what a journey, Sheri. Been all around the place, so you know all the ups and downs and all the happiness. Okay. Why do you do what you do, Sheri?
Well, because I will say, I go back to that being a graphic designer. Before I started in financial services, I was a graphic designer for a different company. And then I was offered 3 different jobs. And one of them was for a financial services firm. And at that particular time, I was a single mom. So I was very concerned about providing for my family, my son, and all of those things that implied. I knew I didn't know enough about financial services and saving and investing and whatnot. And I took the lowest paying job, actually, but the one that I felt would return the most on my investment as far as learning about this area. So I was a single mom. This industry has been phenomenal for me. The things that the organizations that I work with that they're trying to do are helping millions of Americans, and I want to reach and help people. So why I do what I do is to really help Americans save and invest more and do it easier and not think of it as so scary. And, I feel really passionate about it. It changed my life and I want to help change other lives.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I'm not afraid of looking like a fool. I mean, no, that's actually quite true. I think I sent out a blog post today to 7,000 people and there was a typo in it. And somebody sent me something back and said, there's a typo in your blog post. And I went, I anticipate that there's going to be errors in everything that I do, and that can't stop me from doing it. I have to do it still. So I would say that I stare, my favorite quote is from Anais Nin. It's life shrinks or expands according to one's courage. And so I just really continue to say, you got to be brave, you got to be courageous, you got to push. So I've been quite driven. I think the other thing, though, is that I understand the power of managing my own career. I managed my own career. I didn't leave it up to fate. And I think some people, if they're still in the working world and listening to this, I think I would always say to my colleagues and the people that were reporting to me, actively manage your career. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? How do you want to set yourself up? So those two things, I push myself to be brave, and I've actively managed my career.
Oh, Cheryl, you've been in business for the last 30 years. Do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur?
No. In fact, I would say, actually, I'm still learning how to be one. I've been in the financial services industry for 30 years, but I started my own business, 5 years ago. And, your business continues to evolve and merge and mesh. And, I was doing some stuff and I'm not doing it anymore. And now I want to do more of this. And I would say that, being an entrepreneur is an ongoing lesson. And I don't think anyone can be. And I think that's absolutely okay. Because, there's stuff I can't do. There are people who are diligent about research, and we need those people. I can't do that. Yeah.
Okay. What reassurance or encouragement have you got for my members of clan who are just trying but thinking, or maybe tomorrow, keep putting it off, keep thinking, I don't know anything about this topic, I don't have much more, I'm continuing to do research. What advice would you give to those ones?
Definitely a courageous step to start your own thing. It's also, though, something that's extraordinarily fulfilling. And I think that actually, given all of the resources and tools that we have available to us today, from, the web and social and digital, in addition to just, shifting demographics and a variety of other things that are happening from a trends perspective, just like the best time ever. Let me just say one thing. I remember when I stepped out on my own and people inside the business world went, "Oh, that's so scary." And I thought to myself, not really, because I have control of my own destiny versus some company deciding to lay me off or change managers and I have to have a, not very nice boss or whatever. I have control of my own destiny. That doesn't mean it's necessarily easy, but it is quite a feeling. So I would say everything you want is on the other side of fear, and go for it.
What were the hiccups when you started your own business?
I didn't have any processes down. So as I didn't have a proposal, I didn't have a client service agreement, I didn't have a thank you letter, I didn't have any brochures, I didn't have a website, I didn't have anything, right? And so I'd been in corporate America for 25 years, and then all of a sudden, and there was nothing. And client agreement, important piece of the puzzle if you want to make sure that if clients don't pay you, you have ramifications, right? Or a proposal. So one of the things that I do with people who are starting out, because I think that it's important for me to give back, is I give them examples of my proposals. I give them my client service agreement. I'm like, here, let me just help you jumpstart your business. So those were some hiccups for sure. And then processes, we had clients and what comes first and what comes second, and then what is your product? And, we had a couple clients leave us because we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. Just that foundational process piece.
Okay. What is one thing no one knows about you?
Probably that I'm one of 4 kids. I'm the middle kid. Hence my obstinance and ability to talk to anyone, anywhere. Probably that. Because everything else, as an example, I walk every day about 5 miles. But then if folks are, friends of mine on Instagram, they see pictures. They also see that I love to cook, because on Instagram, that's what I share as pictures.
When do you have time to cook when you are running your own business, Sheri? Do you
Oh,
have extra time that we don't have?
I don't know. And I will say this is interesting, Patience, because I stop at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every night. I do, because you have to pace yourself, because you have to have energy to keep doing it. Now, I get up at 5 o'clock and use that first hour of the morning to try to write blog posts and be creative and take care of that before my day gets noisy and the creativity gets sucked out of it. But and then I go for a walk, and that fills me up again. And then I head into the workday. So I'm not killing. At this particular point, I'm not killing myself. Now, again, I'm at a different, more mature perspective in my life, and but there's rare nights when I work past 5. Rare.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Do you have a mentor in your businesses?
In fact, I have a lot of people that I call on for help in different ways, and I just had, as an example, lunch with a speaker colleague here in town. His name is Scott Crabtree, and he talks about the science of happiness. We compare notes about what we're doing, so I rely on those people. I have dear friends that I talk to just about business and whatnot. And then I have a business coach. Anytime I've wanted to make a shift in my career or my business, I've always aligned myself with a business coach of some sort. So I'm not isolated. I think that's another really important thing. You can't isolate yourself because it's lonely sometimes.
What is the most valuable thing your mentors or coaches has told you?
Just last week, I was talking to my coach, and I was telling her that I don't think I'm driving myself as hard as I should be. Drive. Because in my career, I have been at places where I'm drive. I may seem all calm right now and preaching a, 8-hour workday or whatever, but there were times during my career, drive. And I haven't felt that way, like really fire in my belly for the past couple of weeks. And I said to her, I don't feel it right now. And she said, maybe right now is the time you don't need to be driving.
Wow.
Maybe right now you are metamorphosizing, right? You're changing from a caterpillar into a butterfly. There has to be space in between. Maybe right now you need that space to become your next thing. So, yeah, that was just, and I went, oh, that was like permission not to be obsessive compulsive. And, so that was really helpful for me, really helpful.
Very powerful. Okay. What grounds you, Sheri?
Well, a couple of things. My walking. So I walk 5 miles a day when I'm in town, and then I live in Portland, Oregon, and I get to Portland, Oregon is beautiful and green and luscious, and I walk up an extinct volcano every morning, and most mornings, half of that time, I don't have any ear pods in, and I listen to the birds. Or this morning, frankly, it was pouring down rain, but my walking grounds me. It also, when I travel, though, it allows me a way to discover new places where I've never been. So downtown Cleveland, or, this one cool area in Cleveland, the short north, never been there before. Now that I've been to, Cincinnati. No, Cleveland, I can't remember. One of those. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure. But, I love to discover new things, and I don't mind being by myself when I travel. So I get grounded in a variety of ways. And then, cooking is a creative outlet for me. So that grounds me. And I have a dear, sweet husband who keeps me humble.
Wow. You are really lucky, because other people don't have that kind of support in their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So be grateful. What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
Well, actually, I don't know if I gave it away. So I was down in San Diego. This was long before my career. I was 19. And I wanted to come back up to Portland, Oregon to go to a community college and kind of start my college career back again. And my grandmother had given me a bracelet, and I sold that bracelet so that I could get back up to Portland and start going to school. And it wasn't really very valuable, but I think I look back on that, and it makes me sad. It also makes me happy that I made that shift at that particular time, being 19 and being brave enough to go, this isn't working for me. I'm out of here. I'm going to go back and go to school. But it still makes me sad. I wish I had that.
Okay, let's put man aside. How did you know you are successful in your new business venture?
Two things. Money, profit. One thing, money, profit, that all the money stuff. The second thing, how I feel. And I feel happy. I feel like I'm in my zone. I feel like I'm in the right place right now. I feel more concentrated. I feel like I'm in a big sandbox and I am playing. It's really wonderful.
You've been in business for the last 30 years. What have you learned from business as a whole?
I will say one thing. I've been in the financial services industry, which is very male dominated, as we all might know, similar to technology. And I would say that you have to ask for what you want, because in many cases people aren't going to necessarily give it to you. As an example, here I am, I'm 28 years old, and I'm a graphic designer. So this is before I got into this industry. If you do your math, then you know how old I am. But I remember that I push, actively manage my career, right? I push, and I was busy drafting up the fact that, you hired me as a graphic designer, but I'm doing so much more now. And so I actually lobbied to HR to change my job and change my job description. So I had to do all this research and get it all done, and I did. And then we presented it to HR, and she didn't. There was the woman who was running HR. I got like a 2% raise. It was Bologna, really. And I didn't really understand the chain of command, but what I did was I walked into the CEO's office of a big insurance company and said, this isn't going to work for me. So you got to ask for what you want. I don't know if I would ever suggest that, but I was just not aware enough that it worked.
You are just so bold. Now, what was going in your mind? Don't you think that you are going to be sacked or something? Because you are not the only graphic designer in the world. They can hire someone else. So what happened? What did your CEO say?
Well, his name was Charles Gill, and he was a very, very, you just asked what grounds me. He was a very grounded man, and my department reported into him, so we interfaced with him on a regular basis. So I was only one person away from him. It was my boss, and then Mr. Gill, and I think that, frankly, he saw his daughter in me, he just really had, a warm heart. So I wasn't afraid of getting sacked, actually.
You are not afraid of being sacked? Okay.
Nope, not afraid of being sacked.
So what did he say to you? He said, okay, yes, you're okay, we increase you to 3%, 5%. There it is. Walk out to the door with a nice check.
I gave him a number, and I said, well, I was at least hoping for this. And that, and I don't know. I think he smiled at me or whatever, and went, shoo. I really don't remember that particular part of it. But here's what I do remember, Patience, that was my salary. That was my salary. And it wasn't like I was going, give me, $150,000. I know I was a graphic designer. This was way back in the 90s, right? I think it ended up being a $5,000 raise, but that was meaningful. Mm-hmm. I somehow, all of a sudden HR agreed with me.
Wow, you put down the number and that was it. Clan, you have to learn from this. You need to be bold if you are going to be somewhere or if you are going to get something. So you need to be bold, but sometimes be careful.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah.
Don't lose your job because of Sheri. She's too bold.
There's a caveat. I have red hair. Right? I grew up with red hair. It's getting darker right now. But, redheads tend to have a little fiery personality. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I get away with stuff, because I'm the creative. I'm that person in the organization. So they give me a little leeway, I think, because of my personality. I get leeway for sure.
Let's talk about your speaking and the training. Tell us more about it.
Well, I do a lot in kind of the really kind of niche industry. And so when I left corporate America, I said I wanted to be a speaker and do my own thing. Before I did that, though, every opportunity I had to speak, I would speak. I pushed to speak because I really love to speak. I love to teach. I love to inspire. We've got to get things different in financial services in the United States. And the way I can touch the most people is by speaking. And so I talk about marketing. I talk about client experience and talk about branding. I speak about social media. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to talk to the industry of financial advisors and show them ways that they can better connect with people and that they can bring more of their personality and their heart into what they do. And, so let's see, I was in San Diego a couple weeks ago and was talking about out-carrying the competition. So meaning how can you create really cool client experiences that connect with people emotionally. And then I like it because, as I mentioned, I like discovering new cities. And so I get to fly to places that I've never been. I just got a call today from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've never been there before. And, Tennessee is a beautiful place. I've been in Nashville lots, but not Chattanooga. And so I get to explore, and then it's also my job. So it feeds me. I will say this. My father took me to Toastmasters, which is a organization that helps people learn how to do public speaking. He took me to the adult Toastmasters course when I was in 8th grade. So my father really started me on this journey, and that has actually served me very well. I was well poised when I was young. I knew how to behave, in the presence of adults. I could speak clearly. And then I just always kind of migrated more towards speaking. And I've had lots of speaking classes because, honing your speaking skills is just practice, just like people swimming laps to compete in the Olympics.
Who's this for? Is it for someone who's like trying to be in that space of speaking, or someone who's already in the middle, or those who are already established? So who's this for?
You mean Toastmasters?
Your speaking and training.
So my speaking and training is mostly I train people about marketing. So I train, and most people already have a business, so they're already doing something. What I'm trying to do is help them be better at it. So help them understand how to do digital marketing as an example, because maybe they don't do it yet. How to do social media, because the financial services industry, predominantly white male, predominantly over 50, have never had to do social media before. So when I'm speaking and training, I'm teaching them how to do this stuff. As an example, I did a webinar today to a group of folks, and I helped them learn how to use LinkedIn.
Wow. Okay. And what is your price? Because we want to know if we are beginners, so we need to know what kind of price are you charging. Are you doing a one-to-one or just a group?
I do a group, and I will say that when I started out, the first speech that I started out with, I was really scared. And I felt really weird, and I charged $2,500 for it, plus travel. My pricing is much different now, but I'll say that the Chattanooga thing is a association. They don't necessarily have as much money as other, big companies. So my price is fluid in some cases, depending on the organization, depending on whether they'll make a recommendation for me to go to their national conference. Depending on who's in the audience. So it really is kind of fluid. It's certainly not $2,500 anymore because I need to charge for my value, not for my time.
Okay, so it is only for the big companies, not a one-to-one. Oh, okay. Right, okay. There we go. So, and again, where can we find you? How can we get connected with you?
I'm on... I'm everywhere. So my name is spelled Sheri, and my last name is spelled Fitts. So the name of my firm is Sheri Fitts Marketing, but it's Sheri Fitts with 2 T's, marketing. So if you go to SheriFitts.com, you will find me. That's how you can get hold of me. And on my site, by the way, I've got 100 social media tips. And I'd say there's a couple things. One, get the tips because it's PDF. Why not? It's free. But the other thing is that you'll also get my marketing. You'll see how I do my marketing, like my online marketing. You'll get something that I call an indoctrination sequence. So you'll get to see how I go about kind of introducing myself to you and telling you about hiking up a volcano and blah, 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 blah. And then, when the content starts to get too geeky and financial servicey on you, just, you can unsubscribe at any time you want.
Okay. So, clan, there will be more from Sheri in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcast platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Sheri's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of Sheri's journey or over 100 other journeys that are available and learn how you can find your right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Sheri.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.